This is the Parenting IQ podcast where our mission is to equip you during your child's academic years to bring learning to the daily little moments. I'm your host, Dr. Kelly Cagle, and I want to welcome you to Season 4, Little Moments, Big Impacts. Lifelong learners, today I have the privilege of having my oldest son with me, Levi. Levi, tell everybody hi.
Hello, people.
Hello, people. So today I called him over because, as I promised you, I wanted to have certain episodes that you could listen to with your kids, that you can talk about with your kids. So this is one of those special episodes that we are recording for your children to listen to. So if you want to pause real quick, go grab your kids so they can come over and listen to this with you. If you have a teenager, if you just want to forward this episode for them so they can, or to them so they can listen to it when they got a minute. But this is a conversation that I wanted a voice from the next generation to come and speak to the next generation instead of it just being our adult voice. And you know, the thing, y'all remember when you were teenagers and were like, y'all have no idea what I'm dealing with, what I go through. But Levi, here you are. You are talking to your people. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this conversation is about confidence. And Levi and I spent a little bit of time unpacking what it happens in this next generation, what their battles are. And Levi, you want to talk about some of the things pulling for against your confidence? Mm-hmm. What are some of those things?
Well, you know, there's always haters in the world. So you've got people like that just want to bring you down. They don't want to say anything positive about you. And that's kind of the main thing for me is you don't want to please people too much because, you know, a lot of people, you know, there's just haters. So.
Yeah, for sure. What in your mind, when you get those comments from these haters that you're talking about, how do you battle those thoughts, those comments in your mind?
I just tell myself, you know, that self-talk really helps me a lot. I tell myself that, you know, whether it's sports that I've been training a whole bunch, I've been working for this, whether it's just, you know, how I look, God made me this way. And so I choose what I want and, you know, they can't control me. I can't control them.
Yeah, that's very true. Very wise, bud. Can you define confidence in your own terms? What's confidence to you?
To me, it's simple. It's believing in yourself. Makes me feel, when I'm confident, it makes me feel like I'm unstoppable. And that's pretty much confidence.
So what is it not? When you're not confident, how are you feeling?
When I'm not confident, I feel like that I'm not good enough or that I'm no good, you know? That's what it feels like.
And so I think sometimes it's probably when those hater voices are being elevated in your mind, right? When you maybe are too weak to fight back with that self-talk.
They attack you in the hard times.
Yeah, it's very good. I remember whenever you were in third grade and we came at you, mom and dad came at you and we were telling you that you were switching schools. You were in second grade still. For third grade, you were switching schools.
I remember that.
Yep. Why do you remember that?
Because I did not want to switch schools at all. I was so mad and sad. You know, I just made new friends and I hadn't been in school for too long and I was starting to create, you know, friends. And I didn't want to have to leave those friends and make new ones because it takes time. So I would cry after school and be like, are we really switching schools? And I remember Jimmy crying one day.
Yeah.
You know.
So can you tell your friends, because it's likely they've experienced that too. Everybody kind of has experienced switching schools before. And it's a big deal. Like you said, it's a really big deal because you're kind of settled. It's comfortable. You know what to expect. You know how the day is going to go. You know where all the classes are. You know a lot of the teachers. And there's a lot of known and very little unknowns. But when you switch schools, it's the opposite. There's a whole bunch of unknowns and very little knowns. What kind of helped that transition for you to be confident as you walked into that new space, that new environment?
Well, that was kind of a while ago, but I think. Oh, I remember. So when we had to do that meet the teacher type of thing,
At the new school?
hmm
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the kids that were going to be in my grade were telling me, it's awesome. You're going to make new friends quickly. It's so fun. It's great. You'll love it. And I chose to believe that. It's a choice, and I chose to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So I did, and I made new friends quickly, and I had a good time.
Yeah, you were really glad. Later, you were telling us, I can't believe that I felt this way, right?
Yeah.
But it really took this belief, as you said, it was a choice. Because a lot of times people you will tell you either hating comments
Mhm.
or things that they think you want to hear,
Yeah.
but you don't know if it's true or not. You don't know if
Yeah.
it's really awesome. You don't know if the people are really nice or not. You don't know if you're going to be welcomed in this new school being the new kid, or
Mhm.
in this new church being the new kid, or in this new wherever
And
being the
that's
new.
how a lot of spaces are. Like, you have to be good enough. You have to have a nice haircut. You have to have nice clothes, nice shoes
Mhm.
to be in this group. Well, that's how a lot of things are, and that's where you got to be confident in yourself, knowing who you are, and being able to like not listen to those voices.
Because it really goes beyond a haircut, what shirt you're wearing, what shoes you're wearing.
Yeah, it
Those
doesn't
things
even
are
depend on
nice.
that. It tears you down kind of when they tell you that, like, you're no good.
Uh-huh.
You're so
But it's a choice.
mhm.
Like you said, you
You gotta
chose.
believe. You either believe it or you don't.
Mm-hmm. That's very good. So going forward now you've made it way past that new environment. You've been in new situations. We've switched churches. We have switched
Mhm.
soccer teams. We have had lots of changes. And from our perspective, mom and dad's perspective, it's been a whole lot easier on you
Mhm.
since that one change that you
Yeah,
really
well,
went
that was my
okay.
first time.
Yeah.
Once you kind of do it again, you get used to it.
Yeah, for sure.
But change is easier.
Change is easier once you've experienced it. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be a little hard,
Mhm.
but it's easier, like you said, right?
Mhm.
But what about the times when fear or anxiety or self doubt creep in? Because those times still come. Doesn't matter
Mhm.
how much of a choice, there are times that you're just weaker
Yeah.
and you fall and you are kind of giving way to those haters, as you mentioned. What do you do? Talk about that a little bit. The self pity, or even the what you want to hear from mom and dad, or who you call, or what you do,
Mhm. Well, what I do, there's those bad days, and you've kind of just got to move on because there's nothing you can do. But what I do is I pray and I ask the Lord to help me have a better day. It's
Mhm.
just as simple as that. And you just kind of, it's a tough question.
How does prayer help you? Why is that your go to?
I like prayer because I feel like I can have someone to talk to that doesn't have to judge me all the time. That that doesn't have to judge me all the time. That I can just talk to freely
Mm-hmm.
without him having to say anything
Mm-hmm.
that can tear me down. No negativeness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a word, but
Negativity.
yeah, no negativity, and yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's really good. How do you stay confident in school? Now let's switch gears for a little bit. We've been talking a lot about the personal and how the day in and day out, the ups and downs and all of that, right? Um, but how do you stay confident in school? Because you're still a student, despite of everything in life, you still have learning to do,
hmm
right? So as a learner, how do you stay confident?
Well, in school, if you want good grades, you got to work for it. You can't just, I want good grades and it happens. Same thing with sports. You can't not put in the
Oh,
work.
wait for sports. That's going to be my next question. Let's stick to school. School being your example now.
If you want good grades, you got to work for it. It's simple.
What about when you have a question and you you have always been really good at this. Doesn't matter who's around. You much rather understand the
Oh,
question,
yeah.
understand the problem, understand the content than
Having
not
to
to
be
speak up.
confused. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's caring what people think about
Yep.
you. If you're too scared and, in your environment, in the
Mhm.
school classroom, if you're too scared to raise your hand and ask a simple question, if other kids understand it and you don't, you gotta be confident enough to raise your hand. It's a risk that you're going to take. That
Because if you
most
don't, what's going to happen?
you're going to get a bad grade, or you're going to be mad at yourself, and then that's where the voices start coming in that you're not good enough and all that stuff.
The frustration kicks in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all it would take to fix that would be to ask a question,
Mm-hmm.
right? Looking beyond caring what other people think. That's kind of been a common theme throughout our discussion today.
Mm-hmm.
And we do talk a lot to you about that because honestly, moms and dads, we as adults also struggle with that. It's not like we have that mastered. And that's what we tell you too. We have our own battles that we face all the time. We have our own little voices, our own haters in our heads that you guys have. It's just different. But we have to not give way to those voices and we have to choose constantly the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps you be confident.
Mm-hmm.
So now going to soccer, because that is your sport. You play soccer, you play at a pretty high level, really competitive. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of competition and a lot of opportunities for people to bring you down.
Oh, yeah. And they do.
And they do. They try.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you see a kid that's going, if you're right here and you see a kid that's working and he's doing better than you, of course you're going to want to try to bring him down rather than push him up. You want to be the best. He wants to be the best, but you got to treat others the way that you want to be treated. If you want to be pulled down, or if you want to be pulled down, or if you pull others down, then you should be pulled down.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to see that happening. You can't not discourage him and stuff. You got to, get yourself better.
I'd say the hardest part is that not everybody agrees with that, what you're saying right now, the golden rule in the Bible.
Yeah.
Not every kid your age, or if any kid really, is after that mindset of, hey, I'm not going to pull others down because I don't want to be pulled down.
And I read a verse in the Bible in my quiet time the other day. It was I don't know where it was, but it was somewhere in Proverbs. It was take the log out of your own eye before you point out the speck in your brother's eye, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember it too well, but it was something like that.
And unpack that a little bit. What does that mean to you?
Don't judge other people. Judge yourself before you judge other people. See what you need to work on. See what you do good before you tell them to work on this. That's bringing people down.
Yeah.
Rather than building them up.
I have two things that I want to say with that verse that you just brought up that came to mind.
I don't know if that's how the verse went, but.
And you know what we're going to do? I'll look it up. And in the show notes at drkellycagle.com, people will be able to look it up in case you want the correct reference for that. But the very first thing that I want to say is, you parents that are listening right now, you're hearing kind of the inner turmoil of what happens to kids, right? If you think about yourself, you also have the similar turmoil. So when you find your kid having a bad day, when you find your kid letting those hater voices win, when you find your kid just struggling with certain things, it's not for us to sit here and point a finger and say, you know better than this, which I'm guilty of doing. I'm not saying I haven't done, but at the same time, think beyond just the now. And it could be that they were told something the other day. There are some inner thoughts going on in their lives, that there are some things that friends have been telling them that we just have to be willing to sit and listen to what's going on. Just be present and create an environment where anything is welcomed.
Being able to listen, like how I was saying earlier, how being able to talk to the Lord and not
Mhm.
having to worry about what he says. You just need that person to talk to I don't know if cope is the right word. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
cope.
know if I know
To
what
cope
cope
with it.
means, but yeah, just being able to listen and being able to get that out of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very good. And the second point that I wanted to make is that it's these choices that we have. It's much easier for us to also be making similar choices as we are expecting or wanting out of our kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, all of us together, we're an open book. We are a team. Levi, we say this all the time.
Yeah.
We are a team.
I have it up in my bathroom right now.
That's right. We have that sign up in your bathroom, and it's a reminder for all of you boys that we are a team. And what does a team do? You know really well what a team does, Levi.
You stick together.
You stick together. Through the bads, through the good,
Mm-hmm.
it all comes down to you battle together and you tough it out. Levi, what final advice would you give to your peers so they can grow in confidence despite what is pulling for their attention, time, efforts, or emotions?
Well, I think that whatever you want in your life, whether it's to be a doctor, to be a dentist, to be a veterinarian, whatever you want, you got to work towards it, and you got to put in the work. And once you reach a point that you're having a bad day, you need to remember the work that you've done and all the time that you've spent on it, and not think that you spend all your time doing nothing, because knowing in your heart that you worked as hard as you could for it, and when those time comes, you have to know that you have put in the work rather than just putting in the work. Like, if you start putting in the work now and you don't do 100%, you always have to put in 100%. You can't just
Mm-hmm.
barely.
But it's
do
a
it.
day to day.
Yeah, it's every single day. It's being consistent in in your daily encounters. You got to be
Mhm.
consistent, or else what will happen to your relationship? With the Lord, it'll not get better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So consistency. And whenever you work hard every single day, then that gives you confidence because you have put in the work.
Yeah.
And so when the tough times come, when the haters start talking, then you're telling yourself, I can do this because I've put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add to your people?
Not really.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, buddy, for coming today. Lifelong learners, make sure that you subscribe on Apple or Spotify. And I want to tell you one more thing at our YouTube channel. If you want to see Levi face to face, if you want to put this episode on TV and watch it as a family, go to Dr. Kelly Cagle on YouTube, subscribe to our channel so you can watch this as well. Lifelong learners, I hope that you feel more equipped today with confidence, but as you bring learning to the everyday little moments in your life. We will see you next week.